Ready?
Ready?
Hey everyone, welcome back to the latest episode of Snitchin'. It's your host, Kristen.
And Brittany, get ready for the best part of your day.
And we're so excited because not only is this a Halloween episode, our first inaugural Halloween episode,
Oh, yeah.
but it's an even better Halloween episode because we are joined by two of our favorites, Stef and Gina, here for our latest book club. We read
Yay.
Untamed by Glennon Doyle. We're going to be breaking it all down for you. This was a great book with some really, really interesting themes and topics. So if you didn't read it, have no fear. There's just some interesting things to talk about within it that we think are the snitches are going to love. But first, full transparency. Britt, Gina, and I went to Hamilton last night. It was so much fun. First, well, I guess
So fun.
welcome, Steph and G. Hey.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hi, good morning.
You guys know them. Stitches
You
know
guys
them.
know them.
That's right.
So the three of us are doing our best early this morning, to keep the vibes high. But we did have a late night because Hamilton was just so great. Didn't you guys love
Yeah.
the show?
It's so good.
We had a little too much fun at Hamilton. Didn't get home until 1 a.m.
This is your guys' second time altogether seeing it or third time? Because I know, or Gina, how many times have you seen it?
5,
Five. You're
I
right.
think. Oh, and I saw it back. The first time I saw it was in 2015 in New York when it came out, right when the
That's so
original cast
cool.
left.
Right.
I would love to see Leslie Odom Jr.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
I can't
cool.
believe it's been 10 years. That's crazy to me.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And
I think I've seen it like 3 or 4 times now. I can't remember.
wow.
Wow.
Well, I've watched the movie like twice, probably.
Yeah.
I listened to the soundtrack.
I gotta say, we've got some good karma coming our way because last night worked out very well.
Yeah.
And so we met for dinner at 5 p.m. The show is at 7 p.m. And Gina, what is Lucky Tickets? What is it that you're a part of that got
Lucky
these
Seats.
tickets?
Lucky
You
Seats.
go in for 1 or 2 tickets for a show. And if they draw you, you get to go. And you get 2 tickets for like much cheaper. So the tickets I got were $10 each.
Two $10 Hamilton tickets that she
Front
got
row.
last week.
Front row.
Front row, baby.
Front
We
row.
pull up there and we're like, we see the ticket says AA. We're like, oh, great. Okay, orchestra, AA, but like not really thinking. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. By the time the usher shows us our seats, we're like, what?
It is like a different experience too, because like you can see like
Oh,
their
yeah.
face, you know?
Yeah. Did
can
you
feel,
feel
like,
like
the
you were a
sweat on
part
them.
of the show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. So exciting.
Yeah.
Especially with a show that you've seen a lot before, like you were familiar with it. Like, because sometimes being in the front row can change the perspective. Like, you don't get to take in the whole show
Yeah.
in a way.
Mm,
But when you've already seen the show and know the show, like, what a special treat to be in it and immersed in that way.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
It was so cool.
I think one of the things I realized I didn't really realize before was just how much they like incorporate the songs throughout the entire show. Like they'll
Yeah.
reference back to other old songs that they already sang multiple times throughout the show.
Throughout
I
the whole thing,
never-
yeah.
I don't know if I ever really like honed in on that.
Really?
I
It's
know.
like my favorite part.
No, I know. I don't know. I like the whole time I'm watching that and the second half I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, how did you never notice this before? Like it's like a major part of the show.
Well, I think it's kind of by design that you don't notice it, to be honest with you. I think that's like a sign of a really
True.
well-written show because this is a show where the storyline and the plot is getting more delivered through songs. Like sometimes in musicals, songs are there to enhance like the emotion or like a small little plot point around like two people coming together or their inner worlds. But Hamilton really is like pretty much a sung through show. So there's not like a ton of script
Yeah.
or dialogue. The music is really like guiding your story. So if they are not referencing it, right, like you would miss it's like necessary to re-reference it because it's like part of what dialogue might be or like moments.
Totally.
But the fact
Mm.
that you're not realizing it is like so, is like from my perspective at least feels like the quality of a really well-written show because you are so in that world that you're not
Yeah.
that you don't have to recognize, oh, that was a song lyric. It's like actually just a theme or a message or a point or a moment,
Yeah.
you know?
You're like, oh, I know
Ugh.
this part.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
But wait, can I also just say front row living? Okay. I don't know if you two were thinking this because, you're happily married. I was sitting there thinking legit. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh,
so
which
they
one of the
can-
dancers were cute?
which one of the dancers were cute.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was looking at that.
No, but I
Yeah.
also was like, oh my God, can they see us? Because front row, they
Oh.
can like
Oh,
see your
yeah.
face.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I definitely made eye contact.
there was like the
It
whole time I'm
reminded me
like,
a lot of Front Row Reputation.
Oh,
totally.
yes.
But I was like, is this where I meet my husband? Basically, is what was going through my mind. I'm like, am I going to make eye contact with these dancers? Are they going to sing this Hamilton song to me? And like, are they going to ask for me to take a photo with them after the show? And then is that how we're going to fall in love and like end up together? Like legit, that
Imagine.
entire movie scene went through my mind.
Sometimes
But
I'd love to be in your brain.
Wow.
It's
I
a
love
wild
that.
place.
Well, Kristen, what you're doing there is like you're actually entering their show and you're becoming their scene partner. So a lot of like what it's called. So like a lot of when the actors can see and connect, there are certain moments in a show where it's like you become a part of that, and like whatever you're giving is feeding whatever they're doing. So you're like really in it with them. But
Yeah.
The reason the show was so great was because we were making eyes at the actors.
yeah,
Is
I
what
mean,
we're saying.
I think that really does change the experience. I had experience like that with Jersey Boys. I was sitting in the second row, and it was the same guy who was in the original Dan from Next to Normal. He was in Jersey Boys first.
Oh.
And at the song, which is Who Loves You, Pretty Mama, he was literally, I was like, everyone's clapping along, and we were literally like dancing together. And I mean, I was like 15. So, and he was like, I guess like in his early 30s at the time. So like it was, the fantasy only went so far, but it was like, I like literally then Jersey Boys all of a sudden became my favorite musical. And it's like, of course I like Jersey Boys and I like the music, but it was really that moment that made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel okay. So the one thing I don't like about Broadway is that like everyone's so quiet and still, and it's very hard for me to be still. Like it would take everything in me, like all of my focus and energy to not move and watch Hamilton. Like I just have to be like, but then I was like, you know what? These guys on the stage, like I would love to see someone like me, like jamming out to it in the front row.
Yeah.
Like that would give me energy. So I was like, I think it's okay to like,
Definitely.
Yeah, do a little wiggle.
yeah,
I totally agree.
mouth the words.
Yeah, not that.
I did look down at the front row seats at one point because, just taking it all in. And I did notice that there wasn't a lot of people. There was one woman who was like on the other side who was just smiling, beaming, smile the whole time. Did you notice her?
Yes.
Yeah.
I looked too.
And like everyone else was kind of, I know everyone was enjoying it, but everyone else, like they didn't really have any expression on their face. And I was like, man, this cast must love this lady.
Yeah.
I think that's like what I like about Broadway as opposed to like a concert is I like the orderliness of it, that people are in seats and it's like contained and people aren't like, eating hot dogs and all this bullshit. But at the same time, that is like it does like kind of it can stifle expression. And I really think if you ever get the chance to see a show that has like a really diverse cast and you're in an audience with a lot of diversity, and like for example I saw Purpose on Broadway, which was amazing, all Black cast, written by a black writer, Black team, most of the audience was people of color, and culturally the expressions and what was happening in a play, I mean I felt like it changed the whole game. I mean there was noises and audible reactions and gasps and like everyone was involved in it, and I was just like, wow, this just like doesn't happen with like mostly white tourist audiences, especially in New York. It's just like everyone is so contained, and it was like such a fucking breath of fresh air to be in an audience and in a show where people were really allowing themselves to respond to like the weakness that was happening on stage. It was great.
Totally. It's like Broadway is like the Gulf of like performances. It's like, people kind of
makes you feel like you're not welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's which sucks, like.
But it was still a great show. We love Hamilton.
We have a question for you.
Okay, yes.
Which
what would
I
you do?
still have been thinking about. Could you pick your top 3 songs, just like Broadway in general?
Not shows, Broadway songs.
Just like,
could I pick them?
Yes.
I'm sure I could.
Still thinking about it.
I'm sure I could. But I would have to think about it. I don't know if I could do it off the top of my head because,
we'll come back
24 hours.
Yeah, we'll come back.
We'll
I've
come
settled
back
on
to
4
it.
Good from Wicked's up there.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's one in Next to Normal. That's like at the end, but I can't think of what it's called.
Light.
What about something from Rent? You love Rent.
I know, but I don't know that. I don't know yet.
Mine are all from Hamilton, so.
Well, I think mine, I think from the shows, I can label the shows. It would be Something from Next to Normal, Spring Awakening, and this is the third one. I'm not sure.
All right, you have 24 hours to get back to us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let
okay.
us know.
Okay, I will.
The countdown's on.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the book.
Yeah,
Let's
talk about
get
the book.
into it.
Gina's like, let's not talk about the book. Gina's like, let's keep talking about Broadway. Go ahead, Steph. Muse about your favorite song.
Yeah, I'm like, come on. Then we can go into what are your favorite plays, what are your favorite
No,
musicals.
we were like dying to talk about it last night. We were trying not to because it's like better when it's like fresh, but there's a lot to talk about. I'm excited.
There's a lot to talk about. And spoiler alert, one of us might not have liked the book quite as much as the rest. Take
Which
a
I
guess
don't
on
think is
who it
shocking
is.
to anyone on this call or listening.
Or listening.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's get into it. So the book was called Untamed by Glennon Doyle. So Glennon
It's a
Doyle,
memoir.
it's a memoir. Yeah. So she's an American author. She's a queer activist. She was an author before she wrote this book. But really what this is about is like finding her, I don't know, maybe inner purpose as she's falling in love with her now wife, former soccer player, Abby Wambach. And she was married at the time with 3 children. She divorced her husband as she was falling in love with Abby. And it's really like her memoir about that experience and coming into her own and really how she found happiness and purpose. Would you say that's like a decent overview?
Yeah, I would say that this is a book that's memoir / thought leadership. I wasn't really following Glennon before this, so I can't know how much thought leadership was or how much she identified as a thought leader prior to this book. But I know that from a basic, sociological perspective, like this book really put her on the map as like a thought leader that people really wanted to hear than what she had to say about how to navigate life and stress. And then this podcast came out of We Can Do Hard Things. And now I would identify her more as like this, a thought leader.
I think that's totally fitting. And what's interesting too, I'm seeing it now on Wikipedia. This book came out in 2020. So publication date March 10th, 2020, 2 days before.
Oh my God.
Birthday.
It was Reese Witherspoon's April 2020 book for her book club. So
interesting time for it to come out for sure. I'm sure people loved reading this in such like a crazy, anxious
disorienting time. Yeah.
I feel like everything's still like held, There's nothing I would be like, oh, she would say that differently post-COVID or something.
Oh, totally.
And so the way that she writes it is she does it in 3 parts. And what we're going to do is kind of talk through some of the themes for each part. Part 1 is called Caged. Quick overview. She really like the whole setup for this part is this metaphor that she talks about where she is discussing this caged cheetah called Tabitha. And basically how like, if you're a caged animal, Tabitha, she's kind of like walking the periphery of the zoo and she does the same routine every single day. But yet she's like kind of wandering the periphery of the zoo. So Glenn is
like wondering what else is out there.
Yeah, wondering what else is out there. Kind of knows, even though she's never experienced a different life than the zoo life, internally her wildness, like she knows there's something else out there. So she kind of introduces this part with that metaphor of people who feel caged in life.
Can I add something?
Of course.
Yeah.
I think also she's also talking about like the natural wild instinct, right? That's like that is present in all of us, like, right? That is present, even though that animal has been, we could say domesticated, even though I don't think that's quite the right word, but domesticated, because they have that Tabitha that lived a life in the zoo. It doesn't necessarily change the wild instincts that she has in her already. And there's like this tension between externally what my limitations are, what this world looks like for me versus what it feels like inside.
Totally. Well, let's start there. Like, what did you guys think of like the cheetah analogy of how, everything we're talking about here? Like, was there anything that you feel like resonated with just your experience like being a woman and the constraints that women face?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it was a spot on. I thought like one of my favorite parts of the book, I feel like was like, she's very good at metaphors and like putting everything into a metaphor, which I feel like the cheetah was like spot on. She talked about like the ache or something. It's like, like you're like, something's like missing. I'm doing all the right things. Like I'm being good and I'm doing everything I'm supposed to, but like, I'm not totally satisfied. That makes sense.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was interesting. And I definitely feel like it's true that women are taught specifically to be like we grow up like learning how to please and like forget who we are, and please
Right.
everyone else and think about everyone else. I mean, that's how I live my life.
Right. So this is where she talks about that good girl conditioning, right? So specifically
Yep.
around women, right? This idea that, yeah, we have all of these rules and norms that are put on us. And it's so pervasive in this culture that you have no choice, right? Because if like one of our primal needs, right, one of our universal needs is like love and belonging, right? We're all going to find whatever we figure out to be the best and most efficient strategies to get that, right? And being a good girl, being quiet, being non-confrontational, making people happy, being easy to be around is the easiest way to be the most likable person in the room. And though, what is the cost of self for that? I mean, I
Yeah.
perpetually still feel like, I mean, it's gotten better as I've gotten older, but I perpetually feel like a caged cheetah,
Yeah.
like when I, in meditations or in my own processing of just this, like, I just want to be free. But then there is the reminder of like, sometimes I hear like a quiet voice that's like, but you are free, like you are actually,
Yeah.
you actually do get to choose this, unlike poor Tabitha.
I definitely feel like that. I feel like, Britt, when we started this podcast, that was like one of the first things we said is we
Yeah.
feel like that caged cheetah where it's like, you are just going through the motions. You're going through your day to day, like Tabitha, the cheetah is. She's doing her routine every single day. And a lot of times we don't even like stop to like question it. We're just going through it. But like, yet, like that cheetah, like I feel like we've all talked about, is this it? Like, is this all that there
Yeah.
really is once you get to adulthood? Like, is there nothing else out there? There's that like innate dissatisfaction that so many people feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that is like I remember the first time I came on the podcast and when I heard you guys were doing this, I was so unbelievably excited for you because this is what quote wildness looks like in our reality, right? Around like
Yeah.
what is wildness? Like what do we mean by that? It's like taking risks, doing something that's vulnerable, putting yourself out there, not knowing the outcome, maybe not doing something that's engaging in a passion that maybe you can't monetize, right? That's not going to earn you money, that's not going to lead to anything, but it's like joy for the sake of joy, like self-expression for the sake of self-expression, right? Like that's wild, like, and it's like sounds so simple, but it's unbelievable how difficult it is.
Yeah. I feel like there's like a point too where she's like, I look at my life and I'm like, wait, how much of this like was my idea? Like how much, like, you know what I mean? It's like, but I'm also like, I wish someone told me this earlier. Like, why wasn't this my summer reading book? Why was I reading fucking Grapes of Wrath and Cold Mountain and The Joy Luck Club? Like,
Right.
like that could have
so
changed my
true.
life. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
totally.
Yeah. And I think what you said, Steph, is really a good point too, to say like, I feel like sometimes when you read books like this, self-help books, it feels like they're almost telling you like you have to change your whole life. Like if you're dissatisfied, switch your whole life
Yeah.
up and find your purpose. That's very
Right.
overwhelming.
Totally.
But I think, yeah, like what we're saying is that it doesn't have to be that. It just can be a small change to do something new. But even doing something as simple as like, yeah, doing a podcast, it is outside of your comfort zone and the norm. And like when we are talking about that good girl mentality, it almost feels like it's going against that because it's like women are supposed to be quiet, not loud. Like who cares what we have to say? Like why would we do this? Type of thing. And like those are just the societal barriers that just come up even doing something as silly and simple as this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can be small things that change your life.
Question for you all. Do you feel like I'm going to call it your relationship with Taylor Swift is a way in which you access some of your wildness and some of your freedom?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's a good call.
That's where we thrive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a place where you all have lots of reasons to not spend your money on Taylor Swift, to not take time away from
Yeah.
your families. Kristen, you come from the place of like not having a family, but that has its own different pressure of should you be always doing things in search of, the goals, right? Professionally, personally, right? Like spending time going away with your girlfriends. I mean, I remember like I can hear like a voice that's probably my mother's or just of the generation being like, why would you go away with your friends? You should be looking for a man. It's just something like that. But it's like, No, like this is like where the way that you guys engage in it, which is what makes it from an outsider. I think all the people watching you or that know you is like, no, I don't love Taylor Swift in the way you do, but I really love the way you love Taylor Swift because that
Yeah.
energy that makes me feel alive on how alive you all become around that. That is like not practical, not reasonable, not necessary, but it brings so much of yourselves there, right?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I
Yeah.
feel like we feel that way when you talk about musical theater because you know such
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
breadth of
True.
it and you love
Yeah.
it so much. Like
Hmm.
it's the same type of thing, but totally when you find the things that you really love and find passion for, it's like
Yeah.
And let
lean
yourself have
in.
it,
Yeah.
you
When like
know?
you're choreographing a show
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
directing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. But I live in this in between world with that because there's a part of me that's like, yeah, when I get in that space and I can be there, it's like, yes, 100%, it's without abandonment. But I moved to New York and I really want to get involved in theater but I'm scared because how can I make money? How can I continue to support my bills? What will people think of me? Is like it doesn't sound as accomplished, right? To say like, okay, I gave up my career, my private practice and my business and actually just went into trying to find my way in theater again, especially at 35 years old, and not that that's like so old, but I feel like I have to do it in this really like mature or reasonable way, like
Yeah.
slowly,
Yeah.
whatever. But it's like, I don't know, does wildness work that way? I'm not sure.
And like what's the alternative? Like not going for it and
Right,
suppressing it, which
Yeah.
right. Which only causes sickness, really.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I liked when she said she was talking about like leaving her husband for Abby. And I don't think she'd ever been with a woman or anything. It was very like
Right.
sudden. And it seems like her kids were young. I don't know how, like maybe like
Yeah.
elementary school age.
Yeah.
Um,
I think the oldest one, I think maybe is 12. I don't know if
Yes.
Mm.
yeah.
That
So
sounds
like
right.
that's decently young. Like my first thought is like, oh, like what about your kids? She's like, I can never leave my husband because like I couldn't do that to my kids. But then it's like, but wait, no, like the right thing to do as a parent is to model like behave like going after
Yes.
what you want and like for your kids to see you thriving because you're happy. That sends a much better message to them than like you're miserable because you're stuck in this life and you're giving up your life for everyone else. And like you say, it's like being sick.
I didn't like that she made it seem just like so easy. She just like up and left.
Yeah.
Not easy, but like not everyone can be like, oh, I am now in love with this woman. I'm going to leave my husband and children and
Yeah.
like
She
bye.
doesn't
I
talk about
mean,
money.
Yeah,
right.
and I think that's like
Right.
not everyone has the means to like follow their
Totally.
Passion.
desires.
Totally. I think you're bringing up such a valid point because because there is this reality of survival. So it's like this
Mhm.
conditioning exists because this is the best chance of survival. We really cling to that because naturally, biologically, primarily. And that's my theater example. It's just like, and I have privilege. And if I really did want to make an overhaul in my life and I don't have kids, like I'm probably in a really good position to do that. And yet my sense of responsibility, my fear of survival really is like still tells me don't do that, right? Like
Yeah.
that's not realistic. That's not practical. But then to your point, like when there's kids involved, is like those consequences are a lot bigger. It's like, well, I can't live on the street with my children, right? Or I
Yeah.
can't be
Yeah.
able to
Yeah.
not give them food, right? I can't not feed them. So
Yeah.
it's like, sure, can I make a choice? Yes, I can, right? But
Yeah.
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 I feel like we've touched on like a couple of the different like themes that you talked about. Like maybe to go back to, so she introed with, as we talked about, the cheetah, the wildness. People have like that innate feeling, but she kind of goes into, we mentioned it before, just like this good girl thing that we all are growing up in, this societal constraint about what we should or what we shouldn't do. She says in the book, like she started to realize that there was outside expectations for her. She really started to feel that good girl conditioning happen around the age of 10. One of the stories I thought that was super like on point that kind of highlights this is she's talking about going in and seeing her two kids and their friends who are over. And she goes into the room that they're all hanging out in and she says, is anyone hungry? The boys don't even look up at her and just say, yeah, I'm hungry. We want food. And the girls look at each other and make sure to basically
Yeah.
signal like, what are we going to
Mhm.
do here? Are we going to say we're hungry?
Yeah.
We're not. And they make a choice together and say, no, we're fine. But it
Yeah.
highlights like how men are in just trusting their inner instinct and women are looking for external signs
Yeah.
to like make a choice. And that's like one of the examples of the conditioning. So what do
Yeah.
we think about like how that showed up in like our lives? Do we feel like we were conditioned in like what age or what experiences?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for my whole life, age, I don't know, 10?
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like I have a lot of memories of this, like from even in preschool. Like I was always the kid in like from that age early on. I hung out with the teachers more because I had this sense that I was told that, I had this like inherent sense of shame. My body was already ridiculed from age 5 on, that it was like, you're not right, you don't belong, nobody's gonna want this. So it was sort of like part of that good girl conditioning was like, okay, let me make myself as small and as pleasant and as easy as possible and like just sort of hide. My whole life has been most of my friendships up until college, really, and then have been just about who can I be for you? I mean, how do I make myself adaptable and smaller so that I fit in your world? Because there is absolutely no way that it would be okay for me to stand out without facing enormous amounts of rejection or loneliness or isolation.
Totally.
Yeah.
You've had some very needy friends.
Yeah, Gina.
What about you, Jade?
Yeah, please. The least needy out of your squad.
I mean, I think that I do think it is happening to all of us, like subliminally.
Subliminally. I don't know.
I'm not even
Subliminally?
An enemy. But like even when she brought it to, I thought one of those moments where I was like, dang, Mike drop Glennon was when she was saying how like this conditioning to be like that women need to be the good girl has been ingrained in us literally since biblical times. She talks about how like with Adam and Eve, like they blame Eve for the whole thing. Like I don't think I really ever put it in that context. Like Eve is the reason that we have temptation. It's the woman. Like so it's kind of telling us like if we step out of line and like pursue our desires, we're sinful.
Yeah.
Well, and then just to bring it to our Halloween theme, I mean, think about the witches, the Stregas, the Brujas, I mean, you guys are in Massachusetts, the Salem witch trials. I mean, this is what the crux of that was all about. I mean, did these women actually have these like magical powers or connections with the devil? I mean, maybe we'll never truly know, but like likely not, right? We know that these were women who were just willing to be free. Witch, ridiculed, burned at the stake.
Yeah.
So true.
I felt like it's spot on too when she was like, we always praise like the selfless woman, you know what I mean? Who's like doing everything for everyone. And like that's like what in our culture or society, that's like the ultimate woman is like someone who's selfless and like just it doesn't like you wouldn't even know she's there. And that's sad. But like when you think of it like that, I'm like, that is kind of true. Like I feel like in school, like or when you're growing up, like everyone, at least for me, I feel like I was not able to like act out. Whereas like I had two brothers who were able to act out a lot more. But yeah, and I don't think it's like men. It's women too.
Totally. And this kind of gets into what you were saying with like parenting. And I think that was really interesting to think about. Like she was talking a lot about how she's parenting her children and how some of these lessons are showing up and how she talks to her kids. But 100%, like that part definitely stuck out to me too, because I do it in my own life, like with aunts or people who maybe like, people who did like give up work and were always at like all of the meetings and always like at the school plays and doing all the things. And you're like, oh my God, this person's a saint, right? Like we revere the selfless woman. And like, should we be doing that? Because is that what you want for your daughters?
Right. Is that a good example for kids?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, this has been a big theme in my life that I've worked with a lot. And like I've made a little transition or a little philosophy change, which is like there's no bravery and there's no courage in doing everything for everybody else. Right. Like it's actually always been, and it's like, I don't know if I'm articulating it great, but it's actually always been the easier route for me to take, even though it's caused exhaustion, even though it's made me sick, even though there have been 1,000 negative negative consequences. And of course, this part of me that has wanted all of the praise for it, right? But it's easier. It's actually easier. Like it is
less friction.
Yeah, so I think just like when we're like with ourselves, with each other, how do we just like we can accept those compliments, we can acknowledge like when big efforts are made, because I think that that's important too. And at the same time, can we check in with ourselves and each other around like, was it really the most courageous thing for me to do? Or did I lose myself in this? Or did I abandon myself in this?
Yeah.
Or did I just think it was actually easier? Or did I just do it out of fear? Because
Did I
that's not
just
a
give
very
up?
Yeah.
Why put the
Yeah.
effort in, like,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
But this also comes down to like again as like another piece of this good girl thing is like also we have to remember that like the way that our brain has evolved, we're very preoccupied with how people perceive us. Right?
Yes.
Because our brains are trying to make sense and organize things. So we're perceiving other people. So therefore we become very preoccupied with how we are being perceived. And it's really wild if you ever did an inventory on like if you just looked at a day and thought, how many things that I did in this day, from the things that I said to the things that I ate to the clothes that I wore, were in the spirit of wanting to be perceived in a certain way. When you're
Majority of
not
your,
conscious of this, it's like 99% of your day,
Yeah, you don't even notice it.
ultimately, you know, like,
Yeah.
I believe it. I mean, that even goes down to like, I mean, if you think about like anthropologically, we were built to survive in groups. Like that's the
right.
only way for
Mhm.
thousands of years people survive. So it's like there's this like like evolutionary need to be accepted by your group. But I thought that
Yeah.
was interesting how she pointed that out. Like she says it's really easy to notice when you're dissatisfied. The harder thing is like to figure out how to get out of that place. And so she kind of gives you like a framework for when you're feeling that way. It's called the keys of how to like get out of your cage. But a part of that is like essentially trusting your intuition and just turning inward rather than for
The
outside
knowing.
validation, the
Yeah.
knowing.
Yeah.
But I liked how she set it up by saying she was talking about leaving her husband, and she Googles, what do I do if my husband's cheating on me, but he's a good dad? And she said that, you can Google something like that and you can get 3,000 different suggestions on what to do, what's the correct thing to do. So she's
Yeah.
just talking about it's impossible to please everyone and do the
Right.
outside correct thing. You have to turn inward. That's the only
Yeah.
way,
Right.
which I liked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what did you guys think of the keys? So quickly, it's intuition. Or no, it's feel the feelings. That's step one. So she basically says you can't outrun feelings, you can't numb them, you have to feel them. Then it's intuition. So the knowing, turning inward, figuring out what you want. Imagination, thinking like, what are the possibilities for me? And what possibilities do I
Hmm.
want? And then courage to actually act on them. So that's kind of like a 30-second rundown of what the keys are. But like, what did we think of that section and any key in particular that you thought was interesting?
I feel like I am kind of stuck on the first two of those. I feel like I'm not like I don't really know what I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I
And
have
I'm not a
actually
big
I have
sit
a
in my
question for you,
feelings kind of
Steph.
girl.
I have a burning question for you. So like
Tell
I
me.
kind of assumed like the knowing she was talking about like meditation or
Good.
whatever at
Good.
first, but as it goes on, I don't know. But so I have had kind of a journey with meditation. Like before I had Tyler, I probably did it pretty consistently for like 2 years, and it was good. It was hard, very hard, but good. And then I had Tyler, and I just kind of lost time, and I just felt like I didn't need to do it as much anymore. But like, I don't know. She talks about like being still and like listening to yourself. Do you have to actually be still?
No. No.
Because
Okay,
that's the hardest part about
let's talk
meditation
about this.
is sitting still.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't think that, so meditation is certainly one way that you can access your knowing, but really it's about, so try not to equate stillness with quiet, right? So it's really about
Mm,
quieting. And quieting is really about the noise of all the belief systems, all the rules, all the social norms, um all the fears of perception, all these things that we've been talking about. I know that you have all had this example. How many, all of you, how many, wish anyone have a story of a moment where they have been in a situation, they knew it wasn't going to go the way that whatever was going to, they knew it wasn't going to go the way that it was going to be executed. They had a sense, a feeling. But you're like, all right, for whatever reasons, maybe to go along with the group, you're like, fine, whatever, I'll go along with it. And then sure enough, it turns out and it's chaotic, or maybe you get hurt in it or whatever. And you're like, I knew that wasn't going to work out. I knew that wasn't good.
Yeah.
That's the knowing. So you have
yeah.
that actually
Mm,
all the time. You don't need to be sitting in silence to access that, right? So it's
yeah.
really, I think there's the
It's like
first part
trusting
of,
your gut.
right. The first part is like hearing it the second part is trusting it, listening to it, right? Actually seeing it as valid, as wisdom, as opposed to, fear. And I do want to say something because, Kristen, you asked this question about the keys. I mean, these keys are the basis of my work with a lot of women, in a lot of ways, so not that and I didn't necessarily get this from Glennon, but yes, the way that she articulates it is nice and simple and clear and easy to understand.
Meditating
The difference
still.
between intuition and instinct. Your instinct is a primal system within you that's going to guide you towards safety. So avoiding pain, seeking pleasure, right? So that is like when you feel like those are the options of like, oh, I just don't want to deal with this. And it's like, no, my gut says this is wrong. I'm not saying that it's bad, right? But my gut says this isn't safe for me or this like feels icky. That's going to be your instinct. Your intuition is going to be more of, think of it as like you're a little bit more of your higher self. Your intuition might tell you to do something that's very hard, that actually goes against your instinct, right? Because your instinct is going to lead you towards safety, go along with the group. Your intuition is going to say, you don't want to be a part of this group. So you might actually have some conflict between your instinct and your intuition at times, because your intuition is guiding you on your own path of what's right for you. And that's not always the easiest. And that's not always the most comfortable. And that's not always the most, survivally sound, so to speak. Yeah. So I think that's an important consideration, is like, this is how she's really differentiating this idea of knowing, because it's like she had this knowing that she was meant to be with this woman, that there was this connection there, that it wasn't that, she wasn't going to get, her needs were not going to be met. The fullness of herself and her needs were not going to be met in her relationship. Her instinct, though, was Googling, what do I do? Right. Her instinct was like, this is fucking terrifying. I don't, this is crazy. Like, how can I do this? Right. Her instinct was like, I don't know about this. Her intuition, her knowing was saying, no matter what, you've got to find a way to follow this. Right. This is what's for you.
Yeah. And women are definitely taught to like silence that,
Absolutely.
I feel like I think I know nothing. Like I doubt myself all constantly, every single thing I do.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen it circulated when they say like women won't apply for a job if they don't meet 75% of the criteria. Men will apply if they have 25% of the criteria. Like we never trust our own abilities or like our own selves as much. I thought that one thing that she said too, in terms of like the knowing, because I will say, I feel like Gina, you were kind of saying this, like one of your problems with the book is like, it's not as like, no, not all of us can have this big life revelation that she's fallen in love with this woman. Yeah. But I do think like, it's not necessarily even about that. It's just like taking a minute to not just like go through the motions and just even stop to think like, what do I think about this? Because I have such a hard time meditating that I was kind of like, ugh, is the knowing, like you said, Britt, just meditating? Like, shoot, like that's, I don't want to do that.
Still.
But I feel like that's not what she's saying. And another tidbit that I thought like I can definitely lock into is like, just trust your body. I like how she said that. Like she was like, and I think people have that experience where it's like, your body is almost telling you like,
that's right,
before your mind gets there, and your mind will talk you out of it.
That's right.
But
and
you
that's
have to have like that
knowing
split second though, to be like, oh, listen to your body and not just ignore it,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like often the knowing can come in the form of sensations or feelings or imagery or metaphors, it's like, it's actually less about words. And also I just got to put a thing out there for you guys on this meditation piece, which is like, there are so many different ways. Meditation and mindfulness is about being present and listening to your internal experience. I hardly ever do a sitting still practice. The best way for me to connect, because of how I make sense of my own experience in the world, is through movement. So I always do a moving thing. And that looks like closing my eyes and just like listening to like, okay, what part of my body, where's the impulse to move? Okay. And then I just like lift my shoulder and it's like, okay, great. And then I just explore that and I just am with my body and that. And so I'm not thinking about anything. And then, after that little practice is like, then integration just starts to happen naturally. And then I have a new thought that I'm like, oh, this is, something has come to me that wasn't available before. It's like, it's important not to get too scientific about it, right? It's not like something is supposed to happen once you meditate. It's like actually about just creating space and new access so that all different kinds of thoughts and all different kinds of experiences you can be open to receiving different messages or whatever it is.
So one thing she said that I liked was, she was like, it's good to be bored. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like
Yeah,
I am like this. Like, I try to like outrun boredom.
totally.
She's like, but boredom is when you're actually listening to yourself, and that's when you like are more creative, and like that's when like the knowing is, that's when it flourishes, basically. So it's
Right.
like good to be bored.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
think
yeah,
that's a really good point. Like, yeah, tuning in, being bored, but also like what you're saying, Steph. Yeah, like you can do it more often than you think. And it doesn't have to be like this huge thing. It's like, I think at
yeah,
the end of the day, she's just trying to get people just to take even a beat and like just look
Mhm.
inward rather than outward, which I feel like is a really good reminder and like is
Yeah.
attainable and can just help you move. Like, I'm trying to think of an example, even this week I was out with I was at my niece's soccer game, and like some people were thinking about going out after to get dinner, and I had already made dinner, and I really didn't. I like, we were going to Hamilton. I was like, really, it's a small thing, but I was like, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
that's right.
normally my cue would be to people please and to just
hmm
go with it. So my, yeah, like instinct would be like, yeah, yeah, fine, whatever, I'll go. But I like just tuned in for a second and was like, this might be a little awkward. It might make people feel like you don't want to hang out with them. That's like a little uncomfortable, but you don't want to do this. So just
Right.
go
right,
home
That's
and
right.
like that's what you
That's
have
yeah,
to
it.
do.
That's it.
right,
That's like the
yeah,
That's it.
knowing.
That's it.
yeah,
And I have to say is like in my own experience and watching so many women move through this is like this is a daily thing that actually does become a regular way of existing. And I want to just bring it to like her point of like this is not like becoming something new or adding in a skill from the outside, right? That's like something you don't have. This is just really about remembering who you are, right?
Yeah.
Remembering what has always been true for you, what has always been a part of your needs, a part, it's like, so there's a way in which you actually can live every day, right? Like every moment like this, it's like always,
yeah,
there's always, can always be a connection. And it doesn't mean your life is solved and there's no problems and there's no
yeah,
stress. And there's like, that's not what it means. It just is like when you're living more aligned and authentically with yourself, you can navigate the bumps, the hurdles, the barriers, all the bullshit, just slightly easier. Right.
yeah.
Like, and
She
Yeah.
definitely like emphasizes that it's like, your life's not going to be perfect. Like it's still going to be hard. I mean, that's her
right,
podcast. We can do hard
Yeah.
things, but like she's like
right.
feel the feelings, like
Yeah.
which I feel like is also hard for me to conceptualize. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's just something maybe you have to do in like small ways every day
Yeah.
Yeah.
rather than like you said, like have this big thing.
It's really just
Perfect.
about remembering who you are, loving who you are, right? This is the self-acceptance piece that helps you lead a life where you feel free all the time, right? Like that is the wildness of just
Yeah.
like radical self-acceptance, radical self-love, like radical, like this is who I am. And I'm sorry if there's a challenge there for you, right? And I
Mhm.
Yeah.
think what does your life look like when you start navigating? What does your life look like? And but more importantly, what does it feel like? And what do you feel like when you are living in that place? And I think that's where we
Yeah.
can then start to access different senses of satisfaction and contentment and joy and blissfulness without
Mhm.
needing a lot, like it's great that
Yeah.
we like to do all these big things, but like I just came back from this trip and I'm like, yeah, I got to travel 22 hours and go to the south of Spain to connect with myself. Like there was a part of me that was like, this is a joke. I mean, I loved my trip, don't get me wrong, and it really was whatever, but it's like, this is not fully necessary, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like one other thing we didn't really talk about that I liked was I think I forget what part it was, but she was basically saying it's like in the air we breathe, like all these like beliefs and stuff that like shape. I think it was when she talked about racism, which like makes
Yeah.
sense. You know what I mean? It's like all these I don't know if it's like norms or whatever, like all these like rules and stuff that society has told you to feel. It's not your fault. It's like in the air we breathe. Like
Yeah.
last night we were talking about there was someone where you were like, "Oh, I just don't like her. She's like too confident or whatever." And I was like, "Well, is that just the air we're breathing? Like maybe
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
Right.
good."
Right.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah. What like final, let's do our final rankings and maybe like biggest like thing you're taking away from the book. I feel like with these types of books, I don't generally remember most of it, but there's always like one to two things that stick with me, like
Hmm.
without fail. So, I mean, I can start. I would say out of 5 stars, right? That's what we've been rating our books, out of 5 stars,
Mhm.
Uh
I
or
think.
Agree.
10. I think maybe
10.
10. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I would give it out of 10. I would say I'm going to give it like an 8.5. I
Yeah.
liked it. I thought it was a quick read. I liked her style of writing, how she did different stories to make her point. I think the biggest thing I'm taking away from it is like, it's natural if you feel that dissatisfaction, like that's your knowing telling you that something feels off. So just try to tune inward and like just ask yourself what you think is going on. I feel like the knowing piece is the biggest thing that I'm going to take away from it and probably try to like practice regularly.
Yeah. I would say, I feel like my rating, I'd probably give it a 9, I think. And yeah, I think definitely the knowing and like trusting yourself and yeah, being like not like doubting yourself, not getting caught up in like, oh, well, that's like a bad parent would do that. You know what I mean? It's like, but it's a good parent if it's going to make you happy. And like the people pleasing thing, like I just felt like was so spot on about women, like the selflessness thing. And like, she's like, but at the same time, she's like, the world doesn't need more selfless women. Like what the world needs is more women who are like taking control and are free and are wild or whatever. Like imagine how much the world would benefit from that. It would be a completely different place.
Totally. And like even when you say like good bad parent, like I feel like that's her whole point of saying like there is no good bad. It's like what you think of what is your definition of a good bad parenting moment.
Yeah. Her kids must be like so smart and like emotionally mature. I can't even imagine.
Tish.
Maybe, but don't bias that. They're their own people. They're their own journey, right? They're figuring out too as they go. I don't think, I would be curious to hear when they're older if they are able to. A lot of these thought leaders in the world who have kids, I'm really curious to hear about their experience. But
yeah,
maybe they call it psychobabble like Gina does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give the book a 6 out of 10. I think for me, I enjoyed like all of her themes in the book. Like what both Brittany and Kristen have said, I just don't think I needed to read 350 pages of it. I did enjoy her parts about, like you were saying, about like parenting, and one part that stuck out, Britt, I know we've talked about this before, is just, especially raising boys, is trying not to raise them to think that like being sensitive or anything like that is wrong, and how like we've talked about Connor and Jack can both be shy, but that like people think that's bad, but like, is that really a bad thing?
It's not.
Like, do you want your son to like do stuff that they don't want
be like
to?
jumping like, into stuff because his friends are? Like, actually, you don't, you know?
You want them to take a step back and be like, ooh, like, I don't like this. I don't think this is right, so I'm not going to do it. So I did enjoy that. But I think if you are not a big, also like feelings person, maybe not the book for you.
Totally.
I'm going to go back to my fairies and dragons and murder.
Yeah, I do generally read for entertainment. It did feel a little bit more like homework, but but not really.
But overall, like I would recommend it.
Yeah.
I
said to Gina quick that the first time I read it, I breezed right through it, and I had sort of a more initial reactions, like the knowing. These were my biggest takeaways. The second time reading through it, I definitely noticed some more resistance. I think partially because I feel so familiar with this content. It's like, I'm like, I hate this. I don't love the way this sounds, but in the spirit of being true is like, I'm a little beyond it now. I've actually integrated it, and there's like a lot more depth and nuance to a lot of these concepts than gets portrayed in this book, So from that perspective, but I give the book a 10 out of 10, to be honest with you, not because I think it's like the most phenomenal book, but I think we just need these concepts to be discussed in a socially palatable way for women. And, I knew that going into this, that this isn't your type of book. You weren't going to really love this, but I think the fact that you read it and like could stay in it speaks to, even if there was some things that were like not so palatable, there's a lot of palatableness in it, right? To get this out there. To know. Yeah. So I think this time I'm really taking away the imagination piece, the allowing myself to fantasize. That's something that I have always seen as like a very negative, or like I've watched that in myself because I can easily live in fantasy. But there is something really beautiful about the ability to visualize and imagine what things could be, and then notice that. So yeah, I'm like, that's been a big support to me. So I'm like really hanging on to that this time.
Yeah,
I love it.
Put it on the summer reading list. I wish this should be a required reading for all girls and boys.
Yeah,
the chapter about boys was great. We didn't even get into that.
Yeah, right.
I feel like
I
we
will
could talk
also
for like 3
say,
more hours if we
I
like
know.
really, yeah.
I know. Well, there is another book. She came out with another book this year. It's a free on Spotify if you listen to audios. We Can Do Hard Things is the follow-up now, and it's kind of an integration of her podcast and all of that.
Oh, I thought it was a
So,
podcast. It's a book too.
yeah, so there is a podcast, but now there's a book. So that's, in case you want to do more. When you're reading books like this, I said to Gina, like sometimes it's okay to have this book, something like this going, because this is more something you're interacting with, right? You're thinking about it, you're reflecting, right? And it's like sometimes you're not in that space to do that. So just going to encourage you, like if you're at all curious about reading the book for, our listeners, it's like give yourself permission. We read it in a tight turnaround time because we were going to talk about it, right? But give yourself permission to take time with it, right? Like sometimes with books like this, I just finished reading All the Way to the River by Liz Gilbert, which is another similar style, but her own story. Beautiful book. Went to the book thing, went to her book event, got it, had a signed book, read the first 50 pages immediately, and I was like, this is really heavy. Like I just like can't engage with this. It's like, so it took me 3 months to muddle through the book, and it's like, or 2 months to muddle through it. And it's like, give yourself permission to relate to it as feels natural and doable for you, because that will be more fruitful than like forcing yourself to digest this kind of content.
Yeah,
Totally. I'm so glad that we did one like this.
I know.
This was a great choice. Introduced us by Stef. So thank you, Stef. And thank you, Stef and Gina, for coming on for this episode. This was so great.
I feel like we could do like 3 more episodes just talking about the same thing.
Me too.
I know. Well, in the spirit of Halloween, I want to just give a little plug to my favorite movie, as Gina knows, is Halloween Town. But one of my favorite quotes in there is magic is really very simple. All you have to do is want something and let yourself have it. And I think really at the end of the day, that is what Glennon is posing to us. So
what a great way to wrap up.
Right? Magic is very simple.
Seasonal
all
relevance.
You have to do is want something and let yourself have it.
Yeah. I mean, could it be a better finish?
Yeah.
I don't think it could be. All right, snitches. Thanks so much for listening in. We hope everyone has such a great weekend. Happy Halloween. Oh, Steph, did you think of your third Broadway song?
No, I didn't. Yeah. I was engaged in the conversation here.
Yeah, fair.
23 hours. You have 23 hours.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let you know.
All right, cool. Well, make sure to like us, follow us, comment at us at snitchinpod on TikTok and Instagram. Go to our website, snitchinpodcast.com, and tell everyone you know about us. Thanks, guys.
Thanks everyone.
Guys.
Happy Halloween.
Bye.